Notice of a public meeting of the City Commission of the City of Brownsville pursuant to Chapter 551, Title 5 of the Texas Government Code, the Texas Open Meetings Act. Notice is hereby given that the City Commission of the City of Brownsville, Texas, in accordance with Article 5, Section 12 of the Charter of said city, will convene an executive session and a regular meeting on Tuesday, February 17, 2015, at 5:45 p.m. and at 6 p.m. in the Commission chambers on the second floor of the Brownsville City Hall, Old Federal Building, located at 1001 East Elizabeth Street, Brownsville, Cameron County, Texas. Executive session, discussion pursuant to Section 551.087 of the Texas Government Code regarding economic development.
Motion to move to executive section.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries.
This regular meeting, the Pledge of Allegiance.
Who is?
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag, and pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one indivisible.
Brad?
Let's remain standing for the prayer. Father God, we thank you once again for this wonderful city that we're blessed to be in. Lord, we ask you to specifically bless our new superintendent of schools, Esperanza Zendejas, during this interim where she leads our students and our faculties. Lord, we ask you to lead and guide our mayor and city commissioners tonight. Help each of us to do the best to bless each member of this city, from the people that are disadvantaged to those at the top. Lead and guide us to see the far-reaching effects of each of our decisions. Lord, we ask you to have your way here tonight in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. The mayor's activity update.
Just really briefly, just wanted to remind everybody that we are doing the State of the City tomorrow at the event center. Doors are opening at 11:30. I wanted to invite all of you to the Fiesta Air Show that's coming up this weekend. We just met with David Houston a few minutes ago, and he promised me that he's going to have a lot of great things out there, including camels. Can you imagine that? Camels. I'm not quite sure what that means, but they're going to have camel rides. And then, of course, we have Char Days, because I don't think we meet until Char Days passes. So I'm sure on behalf of all the commissioners, we're hoping to have a great time and enjoy ourselves. But that's about it. Commissioners, Rick, did you have something that you wanted?
Yes, sir. We're going to begin the first commissioner, and then I'm going to do it in Spanish.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor. I'm very proud to be part of this commission, this team. We can say we've had a lot of positive firsts, including SpaceX, the parking garage. We've broken ground on a lot of great projects, and today we had another first. I had a lot of support from I know from the commission, and in particular Commissioner Longoria and our staff, and we worked together with excuse me, I'm losing my voice again. with the Mexican consulate, with Consul Rodolfo Quilantan. And there was a concern for several years now where some of our residents that had a matricula consular, they would use our public library system and they couldn't check out books or use the services that we offer the rest of our community. We talked to our city manager, we talked with our folks over at the library. They coordinated with the consulate. They were trained on the new matricula and are now accepting it as a valid form of ID. So we'll be extending our services to everyone in the city, and especially for areas as District 4 and District 1. I think we have a lot of people that will benefit. So I'll pass it on to Rick so he can explain.
Thank you, John. Como decía el comisionado, ahora lo que tenemos, gracias al cónsul Quilantán y al consulado mexicano, y tanto a los trabajos, a los esfuerzos tanto de Mr. Jerry Hedgehog y el señor Juan Guerra, para dar ahora los servicios a toda la gente que tiene una matrícula mexicana, puede utilizar los servicios donde en el pasado no se podían utilizar los servicios si no tenía una forma de identificación americana. Ahora con la identificación de la matrícula por parte del cónsul mexicano, pueden llevarla, pueden ir a la biblioteca, pueden usarla como su identificación, y sus hijos también pueden utilizar los servicios donde antes no podían usar computadoras, no podían sacar libros, no podían tomar ventaja de los servicios que tenemos en las bibliotecas. Ahora sí lo van a poder hacer. Entonces los invitamos a toda esa persona. Aquí no hay estatus migratorio, no estamos en eso. Estamos a que si tú tienes una matrícula y estés aquí como residente, estés aquí legal o ilegalmente, sea lo que sea, mientras que tú tengas una matrícula mexicana por parte del consulado, vas a tener la oportunidad de ir a nuestros servicios de biblioteca, en la biblioteca de Central Boulevard y en Southmost Boulevard, y poder, usted y sus hijos, poder obtener los servicios que proveemos en nuestra biblioteca. Y gracias a toda la gente que hizo esto posible, tanto el señor Guerra como todos los de la biblioteca, City Manager, a toda la comisión, gracias por todo este gran esfuerzo. Gracias.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Mayor, I have one announcement. I just wanted to remind the public that this March, we are having our annual Easter party at Portway Acres Park. For many, many years, we had this party at Linear Park, and with the renovations of Portway Acres, with the splash pad and all of the improvements, we were able to move it to District 2 and to Portway Acres. Last year, we had one of the largest turnouts that we've ever had for one of our city Easter parties in the history of Brownsville. We had several thousand children show up. And so this year, we are preparing for our party. And I want to say it's one of the first kickoffs that we have for our children of the city for the year in springtime. It's a beautiful, beautiful event. But we are asking for our Parks Department if you could help us with any plastic eggs, if there's any individuals, families, businesses, even if it's just one little container of plastic eggs. It truly makes a huge difference at this event and on this occasion. And so you can contact Shannon Guerrero at Parks. I'm on Facebook. You can always inbox me. I'm a phone call away. My phone number is 459-4444. And if you are interested in sponsoring, if you have a business that you want to showcase something, you have a mascot, you're more than welcome. The bigger the party, the better. And if there's any way that you could help the city make this bigger and better, we welcome you to, and thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Debbie? Okay. Anything? Okay, we'll move on to proclamations.
Proclamation, Historic Brownsville Aviation.
Mr. Brown, would you please come up and receive the proclamation? Sorry. I'm going to hand it to you.
Charlie's got it.
Charlie's got it. Mike? The following is a proclamation of the City Commission of Brownsville, Texas, declaring February 21st, 2015 to March 21st, 2015 as Historic Brownsville Aviation Month in our city. And whereas on March 9th, 1929 at 1:34 p.m., Charles Lindbergh, Amelia Earhart, Captain Ira Eaker, and 15,000 to 20,000 citizens of Brownsville were present at the grand opening of the Brownsville Airport. And whereas Brownsville Aviation has in the past, is at the present, and will in the future play a vital role in serving the transportation needs of the United States and the world. And whereas the Brownsville South Padre International Airport has 86 years of unique aviation history, and whereas those persons and companies of the past and present that supported and do support Brownsville Aviation in its many forms are hereby officially thanked for their efforts. And whereas our children and the children of the future are hereby encouraged to do what it takes to continue Brownsville Aviation into the future by adopting the strategy of Fly Brownsville. And therefore, we, the members of the City Commission of the City of Brownsville, Texas, by the authority vested by the Charter of said city, do hereby declare February 21st, 2015 to March 21st, 2015 as Historic Brownsville Aviation Month, and further urge all our citizens to become aware of the importance of aviation in our city, and please remember to fly Brownsville. And it's done the 17th day of February 2015. It's signed by Antonio Martinez, the Mayor of Brownsville, and the City Commission.
Next proclamation from Mr. Rudy Perez Jr.
This was a big surprise. He wasn't aware he was receiving it. And it was very hard because I saw him recently and he asked me, "What's going on?" And I said, "Nothing. I have to go." So, okay. Congratulations. We are honoring you today for your commitment and dedication and the impression that you've made with our youth, for your dedication. And we are all very, very proud of you. And we commend you for your remarkable dedication to the youth of our community. So, ready? Okay, surprise. A proclamation of the City Commission of Brownsville, Texas, his wife, of Brownsville, Texas, recognizing and commending Rudy Perez Jr. on his dedication of service to the community. Whereas Rudy Perez Jr., a native of Brownsville, Texas, was born on March 28, 1957, a graduate of St. Joseph Academy in 1975, has an unforgettable shadow in Brownsville by serving as a true advocate for the youth and participating in sports. And whereas Rudy Perez Jr. started coaching youth bowling teams since 1985 at the International Bowling Lanes, has provided youth an opportunity to develop a positive character traits, life values such as social skills throughout teamwork, perseverance, respect for rules, and confidence. And whereas Rudy Perez Jr., after having open heart surgery less than a year ago, returned to coaching within 6 weeks, has dedicated himself in serving the youth of Brownsville. And whereas Rudy Perez Jr., a compassionate, caring person toward all children who enter his bowling program, beginning at age 5, spends countless hours fundraising to take his teams to the Texas State United States Bowling Congress Association tournaments, which gives youth bowlers the opportunity to earn scholarships. And whereas Rudy Perez Jr. has enjoyed a lifelong journey in dedicating his time as the bowling youth coach at Galaxy Bowling Center, he encourages other adults to volunteer their time to community activity throughout the city. Now, therefore, we, the members of the City Commission of Brownsville, Texas, by virtue of the authority vested by the charter of said city, and on behalf of all of our citizens, do hereby recognize and honor Rudy Perez Jr. for his commitment to coaching and his dedication to raising a generation of successful Brownsville youths. Done on this 17th day of February 2015, Antonio Martinez, Mayor, and the City Commission of Brownsville.
Well, I don't really need the mic, but I just want to thank everybody that has gone through the Youth League. Nobody really knows what
bowling is about. It's not really a sport, but we have to compete against soccer, football, basketball. But this here is really dedicated to all the kids, all the parents that have made it a great memory for me. And I'm really surprised. But I really want to thank the city of Brownsville, because we've had politicians go out and give trophies. I know we've had Rose Gowen, we've had other politicians get in. I like to get people involved because I want to let them know that they're not just there by themselves. It's all about the city. You know, we had International Lanes, it's no longer here. We had Tropical Bowl, it's no longer here. And now we have a great facility at Galaxy Bowling Center. And without them, we would not be able to do what we need to do. And I want to thank everybody. I want to thank everybody for all the memories. We've had a great ride, and if all the parents were to come that went through all these years, I think we would need probably the convention center to fill it up, to have everybody there. But again, thank you all very much. God bless you. Thank you.
Consent agenda items A and B.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. Item number 5.
Item 5, consideration and action to appoint one member to the Brownsville Metro Transit Advisory Committee.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Commissioners. We have a vacancy on the Brownsville Metro Transit Advisory Committee. We have received an application for Mr. Jacob Gutierrez expressing interest to serve on our committee. However, we are open to your recommendations.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Andy.
Item 6, consideration and action to appoint or reappoint 3 members to the Brownsville Citizens Advisory Committee.
Mayor, Commissioners, we're trying to appoint 3 members. They're all eligible, but we would like for you to give special consideration to Erica Magallanes, Elizabeth Dearlum, and Katie Yoker, because they live in CDBG eligible areas, which is part of our ordinance. I'd also like to remind you that due to the change in ordinance a couple of weeks back, the commissioners next in line to appoint somebody are the mayor, Commissioner Portillo, and Commissioner Villarreal.
I'll accept from my part, the recommendation.
The 3 recommendations?
I don't know about you all.
Second. I agree.
Okay. So we'll hear a motion. I mean, I accept a recommendation, but have you hit a motion, John?
I will move to accept the recommendation of Elizabeth Dearlum,
Erica Magallanes.
Magallanes, and Katie Yoker.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item number 7.
Consideration and action to reappoint 3 members to the Brownsville Public Library System Advisory Board.
Hello, Mayors and City Commissioners. My name is Juan Jose Guerra, and I'm the Head Librarian Director of Library Services for the Brownsville Public Library System. The Library System Advisory Board is in need of 3 board members. In your packet, you have 4 applicants, 3 of which are current board members, Mr. Hammond, Ms. Karen Pena, and Mr. Chris Davis. Mr. Hammond is currently the board president and has served with distinction. Also, you have an applicant by the name of Leticia Rosa del Valle. I bring this for your consideration.
And that would be your recommendation?
Recommendations would be Mr. Hammond, Ms. Pena, and Mr. Davis, as they have served with distinction too.
I'd like to make a motion to reappoint Chris Davis and Karen Pena. Second. You okay?
Is it all those in favor say aye?
Aye.
Okay. Motion
And Mr.
carries.
Hammond?
Now you have one more additional one?
I'd like to reappoint Mr. Merrill Hemmons.
Okay. Thank you.
Second.
All those in favor say aye?
Aye.
Okay, you got what you need. Thank
Thank
you very
you.
much. Okay. Item number 8.
Public hearing and action on first reading on ordinance number 2015-1597, ordering and calling a charter election on proposed amendments to the city charter and dealing with related matters.
Okay, this is, again, a public hearing. John?
Mayor, We're back before you on the proposed charter amendments. There was no action taken. It took us a while to figure out what happened last meeting, but there was a motion and a second. One member indicated they would vote no on it. There was some discussion, they just moved on to the next item. So we took that as sort of a subliminal table, so we're bringing it back to you. These are the three proposed charter amendments from the Charter Review Committee. The first two, we're deleting some obsolete language from the charter. The third proposal was establishing term limits for the mayor and commissioners.
I think, John, what the holdup was, those two sections were to eliminate obsolete language, and they were kind of like non-starters. But in order for them to be changed, they would be on the ballot. And my understanding from the city management is that if we put those two on, there will be no additional cost to the taxpayers because it's all on the same front sheet. Is that correct? Now, the third one, I think it's at least my understanding collectively that we really want to thank the review committee for doing this. Now, the last time there wasn't sufficient time for some of the public to get notice of it. And the other thing is, to be honest with you, I went back through the city charter, and I think there's a lot of provisions dealing with city commissioners, such as compensation that hasn't been revised in a long time. And so there's a lot of additional information that I would like to see this review commission continue with. And therefore, I don't think we're ready to work on that particular section. If that's just my take, and this is public comment. Anybody's entitled to say what they want about this particular issue. If not, I'll entertain. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Mayor, I move to propose that Propositions 1 and Proposition 2 be placed on the ballot for the 2015 election.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. Okay, now we'll have a second reading next meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 9.
Item number 9, public hearing and action for the substantial amendment to the City of Brownsville Citizen Participation Plan.
Mayor, Commissioners, so this is the public hearing for substantial amendment to the Citizen Participation Plan. So the Citizen Participation Plan is submitted and approved alongside our consolidated plan, which is 5 years right now. With the Citizen Participation Plan, there we go. Get over to the next slide. With the Citizen Participation Plan, the city must provide and encourage for citizen participation in its actions with regards to community planning and development funds, so CDBG, home, and ESG. As per the city's current CPP and federal regulations, specifically 24 CFR Part 91, public notices and public hearings are required for any substantial amendment to the city's con plan or the citizen participation plan. So let me give you some background on why this change is needed. So as per federal regulations, again, 24 CFR 576.405, entitlement communities, which Brownsville is one, must develop and implement a plan to consult with homeless or formerly homeless individuals in considering and making policies and decisions regarding any facilities, services, or other assistance that receive funding under the Emergency Solutions Grant. And so what this means is we need to make sure that we give homeless and formerly homeless individuals the opportunity to comment on the use of ESG funds. So as you know, the Community Voice campaign was started a couple of years ago, and the purpose is to give the citizens of Brownsville as much input, or the ability to give their input rather, and place community priorities in regards to HUD money. So with that in mind, we propose to add this language to the Community Voice section of the Citizen Participation Plan. So it reads, in order to provide for the participation of homeless or previously homeless individuals in the city's funding process, the first event of each annual Community Voice campaign shall be held at a homeless shelter or a facility mainly serving homeless individuals. So that means it could be at the Good Neighbor Settlement House, at the Ozanam Center, any center basically that is primarily geared to homeless individuals. So this will ensure that homeless and formerly homeless individuals have regular input in the funding process. So the substantial amendment process, we had to go out for 30-day comment period. So that began January 9th. It ended on February 9th. We had 2 public hearings. The first one was January 28th, and that was at the Brownsville Citizens Advisory Committee meeting. And the second one is today. Hopefully we'll get some action. If approved, we intend to send this to HUD no later than the 19th. And with that, I would like to open the public hearing.
Any comment, public hearing? Commissioners?
Move to close public comment. Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Mayor, right before we approve, just thank you for all the work that you've done, because it is a tremendous, it is input that we do need.
Yes.
And this commission is starting to work, and we are working, and for lack of a better term, I guess it's just been lack of funding, but it is something that we are looking to work it in the future, so thank you for that. Thank you for all your work.
And unfortunately, the public, anyway, thank you again so much. Maybe you can send us an email or a letter, okay? Thank you very much. Public comment,
I'd move
Dr.
I'm sorry. I'd move to approve.
Okay, I'm sorry. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Public comment period.
Next item is action item number 11.
Item 11, consideration and action requesting the closure of East Elizabeth Street B block between 4th and 5th Street on Sunday, February 22nd, 2015, between the hours of 8 a.m. and reopen at 7 p.m. for the Baile de Sol activities, and on Thursday, February the 26th, 2015, at 2 p.m., Friday, February 27, 2015, 6 p.m., and Saturday, February the 28th, 2015, at 12:30 p.m., requesting the closure of West Elizabeth from Central Boulevard to Palm Boulevard 2 hours prior to start of each parade to begin the parade lineup.
Mayor, Commissioners, your authority allows us to closure of those streets for the Charo days, beginning on those dates.
Okay, do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, Charlie. Number 12.
Item 12, consideration and action regarding the use of city streets at the end of Palm Boulevard at the intersection of Mexico Boulevard in the former Amigo Land area for the 78th Annual Charo Days 20th Century Rides Carnival from February the 26th through March the 8th, 2015 for carnival equipment parking.
Okay, this is the same one.
Same motion. As you know, the carnival stays here a week after the Charo days.
Move to approve?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Charlie.
It's exciting.
Okay. Item 13, consideration and action to amend resolution number 2015-007 to add the Brownsville Community Health Center New Horizon Medical Center as an additional early voting site.
Okay, and this is just adding a site but not detracting from anywhere else. That's
Correct.
correct.
Right.
Okay.
At what cost is that going to be to the city?
$4,000?
$4,000 more? But you did say that we are sharing costs for the election?
Yes, Mr. We're not?
Nope.
There's no other election
Oh.
going on.
No, that's our cost, $4,000.
I think District 2 is one of the only districts that does not have an early voting location. And that is a central location within District 2.
And in my defense, I had asked Chris to kind of run the numbers because at the last meeting, we hadn't really talked about that. And the amounts that were proposed, I think you had said roughly like 10,000, but we had to reconfigure those numbers.
Right. Early voting costs as they stand now, $10,000. It's $4,000 for an added site. There are some election costs that'll be shared, like central count. Costs for an early voting site, this is the only election happening in Brownsville. So no, that cost for that early voting site will be borne by the city of Brownsville. $3,300 to $4,000. I consider it negligible. Of course, it's your decision for adding another site for early voting.
I think 4,000 is a small amount compared to all the money that we spend on other things, and we allow our constituents more ease of access to voting sites, and we don't take away a polling site from the university. So
I
agree.
Ultimately,
I
the
don't believe
higher.
I don't believe in taking anything away, and I don't mind adding something, but I would like to somehow or another have this commission do an affirmative action of saying, if we're going to spend that kind of money, we need voter participation, and we need your voices in how you want this city to be run.
I'm sure each of the candidates will craft their campaigns to encourage that voter participation, Mayor.
Why is everyone looking at me?
All right, well, any other discussion? Other than that, I'll consider a motion.
Motion to approve? Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
Item number 14, consideration and action on resolution number 2015-008 to express official intent to reimburse with tax-exempt obligation proceeds costs associated with making various streets, sidewalk, bike trails, and related drainage improvements.
Honorable Mayor, members of the City Commission, this resolution authorizes us to begin the spending of monies for street sidewalks and bike trails with the understanding that the general fund will be reimbursed once the CO is issued. We're not right now, we're not asking you to approve a CO, but for us to begin to spend some of the monies on a future CO for streets, sidewalks, and bike trails.
Okay, do I hear a motion?
Mayor, before we make the motion, I do agree, although spending future COs is going into other people's terms. There will be members of the city commission that still stay here, but some of us might return, some of us might not. And I think that although wise, because you've never done anything that doesn't discredit your work, I don't want this to be confused with this being a political ploy right now during election time. That's not to be misconstrued, and the public will misconstrue. I think that as a city commission, we need to be responsible, and we need to understand that if we made mistakes in the past, and we have not put money into our street paving, into our fixing, that we do it. Right now, at this time, I wouldn't blame anybody that would say that it's a political ploy. But I do see that where projects have been funded, but this is something that needs to get done. And to avoid, in the future, to be told that it's a political ploy to go out and fix streets and fix sidewalks at election time, it's not good for business. We need to be doing this every year and making sure that we continue the way we used to in the past to put these monies there for streets, for sidewalks, and for drainage.
Okay. Pete, now this doesn't actually authorize anything. This is just gives you the authority to start getting the process
Start
going.
spending.
Yes, actually, it authorizes us for you to authorize us to spend money from the general fund with the understanding that the general fund will be reimbursed bond or CO proceeds as soon as a CO is issued in the future. And right now, we are in a position that we need the funds for continue the construction of the city streets.
Do we have an idea of how much
you're
that
going
could
to
be?
spend?
Right now, the resolution authorizes us up to a maximum. This is a maximum of 6 million.
Which isn't a lot.
It's not a lot when it comes to
I know that
streets.
we are in desperate need of more money for streets, so.
That's our number one complaint. At least as a district commissioner, that's the bulk of the calls I get.
This is the same procedure we follow throughout the years, throughout the budget cycles.
Right.
We ask for reimbursement resolutions to continue the momentum on working on streets until the COs and all that are reviewed and approved by bond council.
No, and I don't have any qualms with that. What I'm saying to you is that I think this is one of the things we've been advocating for a long-range plan to make sure that we have, adequate funds to do this on as opposed to this particular way of doing business. But anyway, the item is on the agenda. Do I hear a motion?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Item number 15.
Item 15, consideration and action on resolution number 2015-009 to support a proposed affordable housing community known as Solana at the Sports Park, providing financing and providing an effective date.
Mayor, members of the commission, if you would allow me to take resolutions 15 through 19 and make my presentation, and then you can address them individually, if that would be okay, Mayor.
I'm sorry, would you repeat that? I didn't.
If you would allow me to address resolutions 15 through 19 all in my presentation, and then you can address them individually.
Okay.
Tonight we have in front of you the Texas Department of Housing and Community Affairs 2015 Competitive Tax Credit Program, or the HTC. This is a highly competitive program throughout the state of Texas, and within our region, which is Region 11 Urban, there are 20 different applications. In fact, tonight, Edinburgh is also talking about this as well in their community. We received 4 development applications submitted by December the 30th, which was our deadline to submit. We also received 1 application at risk, and I should say that we received 4 total. However, of the 5, only 1 came in on time. And we decided to allow all 5 to come in because this was the first time that we set criteria for the city as well as a deadline. The development applications received for the 9% regional include Solana at the Sports Park, Casa Toscana, Casitas Lantana, and Sundance Meadows. The one at-risk set-aside pool was Via's at Leon Gardens. As I said, we set a deadline this year. We developed the criteria looking at El Paso and Dallas. We asked all the applicants to respond to that criteria. And we also drafted our resolutions to be in compliance with the 2015 Qualified Allocation Plan. We were particularly very careful to do this because last year one of the applicants unintentionally was deducted points because our resolution wasn't written correctly. And so we wanted to make sure that we did it correctly according to the QAP and had our attorney review our resolutions. We paid close attention to promoting community support and engagement, and one of the items that you may hear tonight is the difference between 17 points in the resolution, which says that we support the application, and 14 points where we have no objection. And lastly, the funding. I have to say that all of the applications that we received were very, very good. And it's unfortunate that this tax allocation is so competitive. But when we looked at all of the projects, we looked at them all together and we gave them all the same consideration. Solana at the Sports Park is located at northwest corner of O. Alice Road and the Sports Park Boulevard. It's a construction of 111 units. 100 of these will be housing tax credit and 11 market rate. And you can see that they reach the 30% area median income, 50 and 60%. This location is a high income, it's part of a high income census tract. We like the area because of the potential for the economic, the educational, and the recreational opportunities, and it already has multifamily zoning. This was one of the projects that came in last year but wasn't funded. Casa Toscana is located at the 3400 block of Alton Glore near La Salida Drive. It has 131 units. It's a beautiful multifamily project. It has 125 housing tax credit units and for a total of, and 6 market rate for a total of 130 units total. It's also, there are fewer than 20% of the units in the census tract meet the requirement. Sundance Meadows, which is the location at Tony's Road and Dr. Hugh, not High, Hugh Emerson Road. It's a new construction, 128 units. 100 of those are housing tax credit and 28 market rate. The Via's at Leon Gardens is located at 65 Castellano Drive. It's an existing public housing authority, Cameron Housing Authority project. Currently it has 74 public housing units, and this will be an adaptive reuse. What they'll do is they'll demolish the 74 PHA units, they'll reconstruct those 74 units, and then add 105 housing tax credit units, 20 market rate units. Also, one of the nice things about this project is that the Head Start program will continue to stay there. What we decided to do with the Municipal Housing Finance Corporation, reviewing those, and let me tell you who's on that board. It's Art Rodriguez, Mike Works, Lupe Granado, and Larry Brown. They reviewed the applications and they recommend that we support Solana at the Sports Park, Via's at Leon Gardens with full support and full funding. And we have no objection to Casa Toscana, Casitas Lantana, and Sundance Meadows. And if these projects are successful in acquiring the housing tax credit, then we will fund those. One of the reasons we chose Solana at the Sports Park is because of its location. We would find the development is designed so that there are eyes on the sports park all the time. The second reason is the school is right next to the development. And the third reason is that there is a big job generating business that's going to go there, Toyota. And also, it will allow us to help drive ridership in terms of bus, because one of the things about the park is that there is no bus service. So we think with having the Toyota dealership there and the new multifamily housing, then we can substantiate and drive new routes that way. And lastly, Vias at Leon Gardens, we are supporting that one because it is a unique partnership between the Cameron Housing Authority and the CDC of Brownsville, where they will demolish 74 inefficient energy units and build a beautiful new subdivision on the 802 and Castellano Way. And with that, I'll take questions.
Okay, now all of your action items are termed in the same way. In other words, that's the way it's the recommended, whether they're supportive or no objection. That's the language that you need for these projects to go forward. Is that correct?
Mayor, that is correct.
Okay.
Ruth, what is no objection due to Toscana, Lantana, and Sundance Meadows?
Mayor, Commissioner Longoria, the difference between saying that we support and we have no objection is a 3-point difference. 17 points will go to the projects that have support, and 14 points will be allocated to the no objection. Now, in a very, very competitive environment that we're working in, 3 points makes a big difference.
You could understand where I realize that the committee, our committee within the city reviewed this, but you do see where that places this city commission with our local investors.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mayor,
and this is something that, you know, we want to support, we need to support, and this is a new way. This is the first time we do this. Before in the past, it was just write a letter of support, they go out and got their tax credits, and we're done. Now we're getting involved in the process. Now, I understand Solana at the sports park, getting somebody out there, getting a new bus route, getting that type of thing. Remember that the sports park is competition fields. It is, although our residents do take perfect advantage of it to go out there, but we're affecting our local investors. Mm-hmm. We are kicking ourselves, you know, by going through this. I know that they need support. I know that this needs to be in by the 27th. There's no more room for discussion. We've entertained phone calls. We've entertained, I just feel that we're being put in a corner and told, you know, like we have in the past, and that's our job. It's our job to make that decision. And that's what do we get paid our $10 for? You know, to come up here and make that decision. You know, but in the process of recommending, we are hurting local investors. We are hurting local projects.
Maybe the question that begs itself, Commissioner, would be, how did you determine, I mean, besides the criteria, you know, and is there a way that, and I realize how competitive it is, okay, and I didn't have the opportunity to visit with you ahead of time, but, I mean, I knew about it, but I didn't have a full discussion with you, is, you know, is this a recommend? I mean, I know that the committee says we're going to recommend 2 and we're going to have no objections to 3, and that's a difference of 3 points, okay? Mm-hmm. The criteria that you used, are we going to be able to implement that criteria in the future? You know, that was one of the things that we did with the grant process, mm-hmm. is we said, okay, here's our criteria. We utilize it not just, it's, you know, it's just not out of thin air, but it's got an objective measurement that we can do. Did you all come up with that criteria?
Mayor, we followed the El Paso and Dallas template for the criteria. Now, can we do a better job next year? Absolutely. What we are doing is every year we are improving on how we are doing this. So in terms of how we rated these this year, we looked at the criteria, we looked at the type of units that are being offered, the amount of and the number of units at 30, 50, and 60%. We also looked at the amenities that are being offered and the surrounding area. In addition to financing and other other things.
Because I think my question also goes to, is there some reason why we have to say no objection to all of them, or, you know, or support all of them? I mean, is that, I'm just quite not putting my arms around that one.
Mayor, I understand your question. You don't have to say no objection. You can fully support all of them, but let me
Tell me the
say a
practical
couple of-
aspect.
Yeah, here's the practical. We can support all of them, and we may fund all of them through the process, but we can support all of them, and none of them may be
In other
approved.
words, by doing it this
Right.
way, we have a greater chance of at least one of them getting something
What
versus
we're-
nobody getting something.
What we're saying to the Department of Housing and Community Affairs is this is the one we want. And VIA's in the at-risk category, this is the one we want. But do we have a 100% guarantee that either one of these will be funded? No, because it is so competitive. And it may get down to a tie, it may get down to a 1-point difference.
Mayor, Alton, Texas ate our lunch last year, everybody's lunch, and all the money went to Alton last year. Alton, yeah. And thank you, Charlie.
They went to both of them.
I could see where, you know, the city commission would support Vias at Leon Gardens aggressively because it is with our Brownsville Housing Authority. You know, and what kind of a message are we sending the state if we're not supporting our own Brownsville Housing Authority? But the now I'm going to speak to the developer or the developers. Understand the situation that we're in. We want to work with you, all of you. We want to help you. Now, are we going to give it to 2, and then the rest of you run your course? And you know, we understand how difficult it is for you to get those next 3 points. We understand that, you know, it'll take a letter from our state reps or from our senators to help get you a couple of more points. Okay, those are understood. But it's going to be one of those catch-22 moments where, do we help these 2 and run a good risk of getting funded? Do we support all of you and then you all run your risk? All I'm saying is this: if this commission decides that we're going to support all of you and none of you get the money, just make sure that you don't hold us accountable. That's all. And I think that's something fair to ask. I think it's only fair because you as a developer, you're going to come and say, you know, my project is the best one. You have to support me. I'm going to tell you right now, I have to go with Vias at Leon Garden because I don't want to send the wrong message to the state that I don't support my own housing authority. All right? All the others, everybody falls. Todos los hijos de Dios, todos los hijos del diablo. ¿Verdad? We're gonna go. You know, we're gonna support you. But what I would ask is that if this commission, for some reason, decides that it's going to support all of you, that you not blame it if none of you get anything. That's all I would ask for.
Yeah, no, and I think I fully comprehend that. Commissioner Gowan?
Sure.
And this process will happen once a year, or how often does this process happen? And so next year, the criteria may change, is what I heard. Now, in the past, there were some sticky spots that we got into with the HUD program for overruling a panel that made certain decisions like this. If you're suggesting, Commissioner, that this commission has the right to approve all of them, that would in essence be overruling this committee. Are there ramifications of doing that?
Mayor Martinez, Commissioner Gowan, to your first question, this is the first time we've used the criteria, and we adapted it to Brownsville. Can it be improved? Yes. I think that we can always make changes. Is it the same as HUD program? No. Under the rules of the QAP, it is the City Commission's resolution that counts. What we did is we created the Municipal Housing Finance Corp. to provide the kind of financing that these projects need. We are giving you a recommendation, but you, as the commission, in approving these resolutions, is the final word.
No, I understand, but is there any ramifications by not following your recommendation?
Mayor, no, there are no ramifications.
I'd like to make a motion to support all applicants on our resolution.
Can I still ask a question?
Sure.
Did I understand you clearly, though, that if we do that, we run the risk of none of them being funded?
We risk some of them being funded, we risk none of them being funded, and we risk all of them being funded. Remember, we are competing with the 4, because the Villas at Leon Garden is in a different category. But the 4, Solana, Casa Toscana, Casitas Lantana, and Sundance, are part of 20 applications within Region 11. So they are competing with 16 other applications, and they're all very closely rated.
So whether we support 2 or all 4, it doesn't change their chances any?
It could, according to,
It's very confusing.
It is very confusing because we don't know what the final applications will look like for all of these groups. So based on a pre-application, we know that some of these are in better positions than others that are within our region. Does that help you?
It was just nice when we just wrote a letter.
Well, I find it difficult to understand why have a panel if we have the right to overrule you.
Right.
I mean, in other words, why have a panel?
We have
if the panel's word means nothing.
Well, Mayor, Commissioner Gowan, it's not that the panel's word means nothing. It is a way for our internal staff who represent finance, planning, and health, and the airport director who has a lot of community development experience and a lot of experience with these kinds of corporations to provide their professional input into these applications. So I think that ultimately, if these projects are successful, then they would be coming to the Municipal Housing Finance Corporation for financing for a loan. And so why not have them involved in the beginning, reviewing, so that if any one of these is successful and they come to us for financing, then the Municipal Housing Finance Board is familiar with the project.
Okay, and Ruth, one last question before we go on to whether there's a second on the motion that's on the floor, is when you say Villas at Leon Gardens is in a different category, but we've lumped them all together here. I mean, in other words, and I understand why they would be in a different category, but you could very easily go, say, support Villas at Leon Gardens under one category and then the other 4 under another category? Is that?
That's right.
Okay. Anyway, there's a motion to support all of them.
That makes sense.
That's the only part that makes
sense. Yeah. I mean, but there's a motion. Is there a second to all?
May I read all of them if you're going to do one motion, please, to go into the record, or you're going to vote separate?
I think the motion she made was for all 5 of them. So maybe you better read all 5 of them.
Okay. Item 15, consideration and action on Resolution 2015-009 to support a proposed affordable housing community known as Solana at the Sports Park, providing financing and providing an effective date. Item 16, consideration and action on Resolution number 2015-010 to support a proposed affordable housing community known as the Villas of Leon Gardens, providing financing and providing an effective date. Item 17, consideration and action on Resolution number 2015-011 to support a proposed affordable housing community known as Casitas Lantana LP, providing financing and providing an effective date. Item 18, consideration and action on Resolution number 2015-012 to support a proposed affordable housing community known as Casa Toscana, providing financing and providing an effective date. Item 19, consideration and action on Resolution number 2015-013 to support a proposed affordable housing community known as Sundance Meadow, providing financing and providing an effective date.
Mayor,
Okay.
Mayor, may I ask the city attorney a question? On items number 17, 18, and 19, those are the three projects that we are having no opposition to, yet it says to support. I don't want to be confused with,
Just state the motion.
That's why I was asking you about the language. It seemed like all the language was the same, and yet what you're telling us was a little different. In order to clarify this, Counselor, I think we need to, first of all, we have a pending motion that on the floor that we have no second. If I can make a suggestion that somebody would think about this, of withdrawing that motion, I'm just saying that I think it would be fair to treat the villas at Leon Gardens in one category and then the other four equally in another category, and then regardless of whether it's support or no objection. But I think I'd like to be able to make that distinction because there is, at least I gather from our conversation that there is.
there is.
So, it looks like if we could take item number 16, let's say, if you don't mind withdrawing, let's say take item number 16 first, and that is villas of Leon Gardens, and that, we're supporting that one. I mean, if somebody would have a motion saying,
Motion to approve.
Motion.
Item 16.
okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay. Now, we know 16's good for support. Now, are you going to change the language, or are we going to go the same way, Councilor? I don't know how you can amend because it's been on the...
Did you vote on items 15?
Yeah.
We haven't voted on item 15.
Okay.
So I think what I gather from the consensus of the commission is they'd like to treat the other four equally. So it's either going to be support or no objection. Which, does it make any difference?
Yes, it does make a big difference. The Solana at the sports park currently is written as support. Items 17, 18, and 19 are written as no objection.
Mayor, I suggest you make the motion to approve 15 as written, and then item 17, 18, 19, change it from no objection, pass the resolution with support.
Well, the problem that I see here from a procedural standpoint is when you have your notice requirement, you've got 17, 18, and 19, and that's the way you published it for 72 hours.
Well, I think the commission has the right to make a change in that.
You're the lawyer.
You're right. The commission has the right to make the change. It's a resolution, it's not an ordinance.
All right, well,
So motion to approve item 15.
okay, let's
Right,
go
'cause there's no
one at a
issue.
time. Item number 15, as written, we have a motion, do we have a second? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Now let's go to item number 17, 18, and 19, and do we have to have a motion to change the language?
Yes, you pass the resolution, but as amended, to provide support, or
Because see, it's not stated as no objection.
In section, excuse me, Mayor, in section 2 of the resolution, it does say that the City Commission of Brownsville hereby has no objection.
You would just change,
In the package, okay.
In
but
the package. Mhm.
In the agenda,
In the agenda.
in the agenda, which is what I have to go by, I think.
the agenda says no support, it's to support, but what you would do is you just move to approve the item, changing the language in the proposed resolution from no objection to support.
It's already written as support.
The language on the notice is written, but the language in the resolution is...
Oh, okay.
Right.
Okay.
And that's what these people would want. We need to change it on the resolution.
Right, so what the city will sign is a resolution with language that's changed from no objection to support.
Okay. In accordance with the agenda.
In accordance with the agenda, right.
Because that's what the agenda says. I'm sorry. So you'd have 17, 18, 19, according to the agenda, there'd be a motion to approve as stated in the agenda, because it's supporting it.
With the amendment to the resolution.
With the amendment to the resolution.
Stating support.
And John, I
instead
think
of-
you just made the motion. Okay,
We're just gonna
is there a second to John?
Okay.
Okay.
I think we understand it.
I'll
Well,
second that.
I'll make a motion to approve items 17, 18, and 19 as stated on the agenda with the amendment on the actual, or proposed resolutions, instead of reading,
No objection.
no objection to reading support.
Okay. And Ruth, I mean, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? And I think that, and there's no criticism of what the committee did. The idea is, the sooner we get a more objective criteria that is followed, the easier it is for us to apply. Okay?
Completely understand,
Anyway,
Mayor.
item number 20.
Item 20, consideration and action to award a contract for the purchase and delivery of 3 buses for the Metro Connect routes.
Mayor, Commissioners, the staff is looking for approval for the purchase of 3 Glavelle buses, medium duty, for our Blue Line Metro Connect services from National Bus Sales via a contract with the state for the purchase price of $239,940. All funding does come from a TxDOT grant. No local match is required. Staff recommends approval.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion
Thank you.
carries.
Would adjourn? Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.